but with silence and light. Across Australia, people are beginning to see what was never meant to be seen. Lights that hover without sound, objects that move without wings, patterns in the air that whisper of intelligence far beyond our own. They don't make announcements. They don't need to, but something is here. Tonight on X-Site, we follow the trail of an outbreak. Not a virus, but a surge of sightings too strange to ignore and too real to explain. Watch closely. You might begin to question everything you thought you knew about the sky. The sun had just dipped below the horizon. Perth, Western Australia, was painted in soft amber and violet. The kind of evening where everything feels still, like the world is holding its breath. A man stepped out onto his porch. He wasn't looking for anything unusual, just a cigarette, just air. But the sky had other plans. At first, he saw a single green light, faint, moving slowly. Nothing too strange until it blinked. Not like a plane's navigation light. No rhythm, no regulation. This was something else. As he squinted toward the moving glow, he noticed something the human eye isn't trained to catch. The air itself was changing. It was like ripples in water, but in the sky. The object was slicing through the atmosphere, leaving behind a subtle wake, a shimmer, a distortion, a wound in the air. No wings, no tail, no roar of engines. And yet the trail was there, faintly illuminated by the humidity of the evening. The man blinked in disbelief, heart pounding now. He raised his phone, just a Samsung S25, and began recording. 17 seconds. That was all, but in those 17 seconds, the laws of motion were broken. The object glided in one direction, then stopped. It hovered, shifted sideways, then made a tight loop like a bird testing wind. And then, like smoke caught in a vacuum, it was gone, vanished. No fade out, no descent, just nothing. Later, when the man watched the footage again, he noticed what he missed in real time, a soft green corona around the light. And the wake, the shimmering cut in the sky, lingered longer than it should have. That wasn't a star, wasn't a plane, wasn't a drone, it was something intelligent, something crafted, something that moved with purpose but beyond our understanding. He didn't know it then, but that one recording would become the catalyst, the first spark in what would soon be called an outbreak. Miles from Perth, inside a modest lab lined with old data servers and physics journals, sat Dr. Andrew Morgan. He was not the kind of man who chased lights in the sky. He chased patterns, equations, truths hidden in noise. But when a colleague forwarded the now viral video, he watched it 3 times, then downloaded it, then froze the frame at second 4. Something about the wake struck him. He'd spent years analyzing high-speed flight footage, jets, drones, experimental aircraft. He had seen wakes before, but this was different. He magnified the video, slowed it. Pixel by pixel, he broke down the 17 seconds into data. There was no flash as the object entered frame, no sonic disturbance, no thermal bloom that a normal fast-moving body would create. It appeared in the middle of the sky like it had always been there, just unseen. Then came the movement, not chaotic, not random, but precise, hover, shift, loop, vanish. And never once did the surrounding air behave like it should around a physical object. But something else caught his attention. In the trail, the colors weren't natural. There was a gradient, red toward the front, blue at the rear, combining into a pulsing green glow. To most people, this would be pretty. To Dr. Morgan, it was a clue. The pattern resembled Doppler shifting, a visual artifact seen when energy moves fast enough to compress wavelengths, just like stars and galaxies do when they move at incredible speed. This suggested one thing: the object wasn't just reflecting light. It was manipulating space and air around it. And yet no jet wash, no rotor motion, no visible exhaust. He opened his old thesis. one he thought he'd never revisit, on magneto-hydrodynamic propulsion, a form of theoretical movement. Instead of pushing against air, it pulls the air into plasma using electromagnetism, allowing for silent, smooth lift and thrust. It had never been observed in practice, until now. Dr. Morgan wrote in his notes, "No known aircraft behaves like this. If this is human, it's decades ahead of current tech. If it's not, then this may be the first recorded flight of a machine that does not belong to Earth." He wasn't ready to say alien. Not yet, but the math didn't lie. And that was enough for him to keep going, deeper into the footage, and deeper into a mystery unfolding right above his country. No one knew why, but the lights began to appear across Australia. In Sydney, they hovered over rooftops, drifting slowly like watchers. In Brisbane, a family sat down for dinner when a bright white glow lit up their kitchen window, then vanished. In Alice Springs, a child pointed to the sky and asked, "Why is that star moving?" They weren't the first. They wouldn't be the last. Peter Yilmaz, an amateur astronomer living outside Adelaide, had been filming the skies for over 15 years. Dozens of recordings, glowing spheres that didn't blink and moved like they had minds of their own. He explained, "A satellite moves straight. These stop, turn, disappear." One night, he captured a sphere moving like a satellite. But then midway through the sky, it froze, hovered in place. Then, as if time reversed itself, it drifted backward and vanished. These weren't random events. They happened night after night across different cities and towns. And the strangest part, they looked almost identical, perfectly round, silent, glowing white, sometimes tinged with blue or red, and often leaving behind a faint ripple, an atmospheric tremble. No military claimed them, no country said it was theirs, and no radar system marked them as threats. So then, who was flying over Australia? In the quiet suburbs of Victoria, something unusual floated in the sky. The witness, a hobby photographer, had stepped outside for air. Then he saw it, a white object perfectly still against the darkening sky. He grabbed his tripod, attached a 1.8 telephoto lens, and began to film. The object didn't blink, didn't spin, didn't move. It simply hovered like it was waiting. He filmed it for over 40 minutes. It never changed position. Only the sky shifted, turning from dusk to deep twilight. Then a helicopter flew into frame. But instead of heading straight through, it diverted, flying lower than usual, as if avoiding the object. The man later said, "It felt like the thing was watching me, or waiting to be seen." Frame-by-frame analysis showed that the light it emitted wasn't reflected, it was self-generated. A glow consistent with ionized air, not headlights. And when the object finally disappeared, it didn't fade or fall. It simply slipped out of existence, as if reality itself closed behind it. Far in the Australian outback, where red earth stretches beyond the eye, people speak of old lights. The Aboriginal people call them the Min Min lights. According to legend, these glowing orbs would appear at night. White, floating, quiet. They followed travelers, they dodged bullets, and those who chased them were never seen again. In the 1800s, explorers described the same thing, round lights hovering just above the ground, glowing white or green, bright enough to cast shadows on the dirt, moving alongside cars, keeping perfect pace, even at highway speeds. There were no cameras then, only stories, but now in 2025, smartphone videos are starting to show the same orbs. The way they move, the way they shine, it all matches what elders once whispered around campfires. Could these lights never have left? Could they have always been here, just hiding in plain sight? His name was Peter Maxwell Slattery, and in Australia's UFO community, his name stirred both curiosity and doubt. Peter was not a scientist, he was a spiritual teacher, a speaker, an author, but above all, he was a witness. For over 15 years, he had filmed glowing orbs, flying triangles, and even small tic-tacs, just meters long, floating in the sky. Some of his videos were captured at night, others, surprisingly, during the day. Clear skies. Clear footage, Peter said. I don't call them aliens, I call them watchers. They've been here longer than we know. Skeptics called him biased, but none could prove his videos were fake. In fact, parts of his footage looked strikingly similar to declassified CIA videos from the 1950s. Why did these objects appear around him over and over? He answered simply, "Maybe I just look up more than most people." As Dr. Morgan continued his analysis, he noticed something stranger still. The object in the Perth video had a core that never moved. No matter how the light shifted or how the glow changed, that center point remained still, anchored. Around it, the air wasn't just disturbed. It was morphing, swirling, changing shape in patterns that seemed controlled. The trail it left behind was not smoke, not heat. It was charged air ionized by an unknown energy. The colors told a story, red in the front, blue in the rear, combining into green like a visual Doppler effect, but in atmosphere, not space. It wasn't just light. It was the air reacting to a field, invisible but powerful. Doc Morgan wrote in his notes, "This is not a jet. This is not a helicopter. This is a field-propelled object with no thrust, no noise, and no reason to be in our sky." He didn't need proof of aliens. The footage already proved something else, that something was moving above Australia. Something that defied physics, logic, and human technology. And the sky was no longer silent, hovering in perfect stillness, then shooting off at impossible speeds. In the skies above Queensland's beaches, a group of tourists captured what they thought were stars. Until the stars began to move together, forming a triangle, then splitting apart like a machine unfolding. Near Perth Airport, a pilot reported seeing a small capsule-shaped light just outside the descent corridor. It wasn't on radar. It wasn't scheduled. And it disappeared before the control tower could confirm it. One by one, the sightings multiplied. Some were tic-tacs, some were glowing discs, others just shadows that moved against the wind. There was no warning, no explanation, and no one, not even the authorities, would speak openly. But people were watching. They stood on rooftops, on hills, by beaches, and at the edges of deserts, phones in hand, eyes wide open. And the more they looked, the more the objects appeared, as if the sky was responding, as if these things, whatever they were, wanted to be seen. But why? Why now? Were they revealing themselves, or had they always been here and only now were starting to notice? Some believed it was a warning, others said it was contact. But the truth was harder to grasp, because the more footage they collected, the fewer answers they had. The crafts left no clues, only patterns, only motion, only silence and wonder. And so the outbreak continued, not in fear, but in a kind of quiet awe, because across the skies of Australia, something had awakened, and it no longer cared to hide. The lights have returned, or perhaps they never left. What are they trying to show us? Why now? And what does it mean that they no longer hide? You've seen the footage, you've heard the accounts. Now we want to hear from you. What do you think is happening? Have you seen something like this before? Leave a comment below. Tell us your story. Because the more we share, the closer we get to understanding what watches us from above. This is X-Sight, where the unknown is only the beginning.